Breaking today, Prince William doubles down. According to multiple sources, it's now a matter of when, not if, he strips Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal title.
Is Meghan Markle thinking how this woman is completely unraveling? Because now she doesn't get that a royal title, it is not property. She's now threatening to sue Prince William.
A strange wave has swept through the global news cycle, especially across the Atlantic. Prince Harry drops yet another press statement, loud, urgent, and perfectly timed when public attention is already focused elsewhere. The timing never feels accidental, and the pattern is becoming impossible to dismiss. It's the same routine every time. Sudden noise, manufactured urgency, and a clear push to stay in the spotlight. While headlines spin and distractions pile up, something far more serious is unfolding quietly in London, with barely any coverage at all. While Meghan was busy giving interviews, filming high-budget streaming projects, and promoting memoirs, Prince William was moving very differently. No cameras, no headline chasing, no dramatic announcements, just deliberate steps taken behind closed doors. This isn't chaotic family gossip or recycled tabloid chatter. This is about real authority and calculated moves that could reshape the monarchy with a single signature. That's not exaggeration, that's reality. There were no leaks from Buckingham Palace, no dramatic speeches, only years of quiet preparation inside Kensington Palace and Clarence House. And to fully understand how serious this moment is, you have to look at the growing divide between the king and his heir, because that split changes everything. King Charles leads with emotion. He moves from the heart, believing in forgiveness, second chances, and holding family ties together no matter the personal cost. To him, being a father comes before wearing the crown. He still believes that one day the door will open, tensions will fade, and things can be stitched back together.
She is not a blood royal, so herself, she's not titled. People keep calling her Duchess Meghan, putting the title before the name. That only applies to blood royal.
Prince William doesn't see it that way anymore. He believes the institution has to come first, no exceptions. And what he's been building quietly is a framework that could change everything from the ground up. For the Sussexes, the titles that helped elevate Meghan's public image, that Duchess branding stamped across podcasts, book covers, and partnerships, may not be as permanent as people assume. Once you understand how this plan works, it becomes obvious this isn't about revenge or settling scores. It's about survival, control, and evolution. For years, people have watched Charles and William operate on completely different frequencies. Charles stays committed to reconciliation, shaped by an old-school belief that unity above all else keeps the monarchy standing. Even after public damage, he kept the door open. There's something admirable in that mindset, family first, no matter the fallout. But William has been watching that strategy crumble in real time. He's seen the monarchy take hit after hit while staying quiet, disciplined, and composed. Then came the shift. A private conversation between father and son changed the direction of everything.
But I do feel that actually having done it once with Andrew, you can do it again with Harry and Meghan.
William allegedly reached a breaking point. He came to believe that mercy wasn't solving the issue, it was actually making it worse. He reportedly told the king that the kindness meant to repair relationships was weakening the institution itself, not protecting it. From that moment on, William stopped waiting and started moving. This is where the divide stops being subtle and becomes impossible to ignore. Charles looks at the situation and sees strained family bonds that still deserve saving. He sees Harry and his daughter-in-law and reacts emotionally, guided by hope and loyalty. William sees something completely different. Where his father sees people, William sees pressure points in the structure itself. Where Charles leans into compassion, William sees a system being pushed past its limits. To him, this isn't personal, it's operational. That distinction changes everything. William understands one hard truth. An institution that has lasted for centuries cannot survive if responsibility is abandoned while prestige is still claimed.
Meghan's actually threatened that she's going to take out some sort of terrible thing if it does happen, that she won't allow that to happen. But we'll see what the fight is when it gets going.
That setup breaks down over time, and he knows it. While Charles believes patience will eventually calm the situation, William sees a flaw that could destabilize the entire framework if it isn't addressed fast. And he's not waiting for the crown to land on his head before acting. William is already shifting pieces behind the scenes, carefully, deliberately, and right now. Here's the part most people don't see. He's assembled a team that operates completely under the radar. This isn't a PR group or a reputation cleanup unit. This is a strategic inner circle. Think serious operators, not media handlers. He's brought in constitutional historians who understand the deepest rules of the crown, treating it like a playbook built over centuries. He's also been consulting top-level strategists who understand how the monarchy truly functions behind closed doors. And no, this isn't some emotional reaction to a streaming series or short-term media noise. What they're building goes far beyond headlines and trending clips. They're drafting an entirely new framework for how the monarchy operates moving forward. Clear lines, clear rules, no grey areas left hanging. Right now, the system leans too heavily on tradition, assumptions, and unspoken expectations that everyone will do the right thing.
Or any monarch who dares take her title away. Meghan is only using a royal title, her husband's royal title that he holds for now.
William doesn't trust that model anymore. He wants rules that can't be twisted, spun, or misunderstood. A structure that locks everything in and leaves zero room for exploitation or loopholes. And the end goal is bold, even shocking to some. William wants the reigning monarch to have written undeniable authority to decide who is officially in and who is officially out. Not based on emotion, not based on family pressure or legacy sentiment, but based on one clear standard: service. If you work for the institution, serve the crown, and carry the responsibility, you keep the title, the status, the protection, all of it. That part stays solid. But if you step away to chase independence, personal brands, or private business deals, that's your choice. No one's stopping you. What you don't get to do is take the institution with you. The royal side doesn't follow you out the door. William's mindset comes down to one hard rule: no exceptions, no confusion, no double standards. If the crown is supposed to mean everything, it can't mean something to everyone. Exclusivity is where its power comes from, and William understands that better than most.
They have pushed themselves so far, they have behaved so badly, they still are. And they're taking what happens within the royal family and smashes it.
The moment everyone gets access, the value starts slipping. Once titles turn into marketing tools instead of service-based roles, the meaning fades fast. That's not harsh, that's clarity. And William isn't moving out of bitterness or personal frustration. He's studying what actually keeps the monarchy standing decade after decade. He's thinking long-term. Not 5 years, not 10, but 50, 100, even 200 years down the line. He's asking one serious question: what does this institution need to survive in a modern world? And his answer is firm, structured, and non-negotiable. Clear boundaries, lines that don't bend when pressure hits. This team isn't working in a vacuum either. They've quietly studied how other modern monarchies operate, places where systems evolved without losing relevance. No chaos. No spectacle, just strategy unfolding in silence. They're building a modern playbook based on what actually works today, not tradition for tradition's sake. And this is where William's style fully separates him from anything Charles would ever try. Charles would negotiate. He'd search for a middle ground, a soft compromise, a half-in, half-out approach that keeps everyone comfortable. William is finished with that thinking. His approach is clean and brutally simple. The rules are the rules. They apply to everyone. No special treatment, no loopholes. And if you don't like them, that's your choice. But they're not changing.
And Meghan just thinks she's too wonderful to be left out of it, and she will win because she'll go to court if she doesn't keeps her title. I don't know, it's very hard. It's very hard to lose your title. But I do really hope that it's taken away. I mean, she's complained for over 6 years now.
In William's view, the monarchy isn't a casual family setup. It's not something you step into and out of when it fits your lifestyle. This is a serious institution with a defined purpose. You're either fully committed or fully out. No grey zone. No special treatment. No bending the rules to fit personal situations. And this isn't just theory or quiet talk behind palace walls. There's a real concrete mechanism that makes all of this possible. It even has a painfully boring name that hides just how powerful it really is. It's called letters patent. Sounds dry, right? But don't let the name fool you. This is one of the strongest levers the monarchy has at its disposal. Letters patent function like an executive command from the sovereign. This is how the crown officially rewrites the rules around titles, status, and who is considered royal. No public vote, no long debates, no waiting on outside approval. One document, one signature, and the entire structure can shift almost overnight. To understand how serious this is, you have to look at history. Back in 1917, King George V looked around and realized the royal title system had spun out of control. Distant relatives everywhere, loose connections, titles being handed out like they meant nothing.
The title does not belong to Rachel Meghan Markle. All royal titles belong to the monarchy.
The prestige was slipping fast. So he acted. He issued letters patent that sharply reduced the list. And just like that, people who had always been viewed as royals suddenly weren't anymore. No chaos, no drawn-out arguments, no public meltdown, just new rules enforced immediately. That's how this system works. The monarchy doesn't need permission to adapt. When the sovereign signs, it becomes reality. A lot of people assume the 1917 decision locked everything in permanently, but that's not how this system works at all. Any reigning monarch can issue new letters patent whenever the institution needs to evolve, and history shows it's happened more than once when survival demanded change. And this is exactly where William's team steps in. They've reportedly already prepared a new version. It exists right now, fully drafted, fully finalized, and sitting quietly in a secure vault inside Kensington Palace. This update is brutally clear. Only working royals, those actively serving the institution full-time, keep their titles and official status. Everyone else is still family, still respected, still welcome at private gatherings, but not royal in the formal institutional sense. Let that sink in. This doesn't take years of talks or public approval. It doesn't require debates or drawn-out negotiations. It takes one signature. If the king signs it, it becomes official instantly. And the entire landscape flips overnight. Meghan's entire public identity rests heavily on one word, Duchess. With a single signed document, that word and everything attached to it could vanish just like that. Remove the official recognition and the whole foundation starts to wobble. Yes, she would still be married to a prince.
Just like she falsely claimed that her last name is Sussex, it's not. Well, in all this quagmire that is Meghan Markle's ignorance, we're going to get into how she's planning to sue Prince William.
But a prince without institutional backing is a very different position. Without formal recognition, that status becomes a courtesy label. It might sound polished, it might look nice on paper, but it doesn't carry real weight anymore. That title doesn't open the same doors or carry the same weight in the circles where she's been operating. It isn't decorative. It's functional. Meghan's entire professional engine runs on it. Speaking engagements, production deals, brand partnerships, every major opportunity traces back to that royal connection. She's not positioned as just another public figure in the crowd. She's framed as royalty who stepped away, and that framing is the hook. That's what separates her from everyone else and keeps attention locked in. Look closely at the branding. The podcast didn't just use her name, it carried Duchess of Sussex front and center. The books followed the same pattern. Interviews, appearances, collaborations, all introduced with that title leading the way. That title is the base layer. Everything else stacks on top of it. Now imagine that foundation disappearing, not through a public clash, not through a messy confrontation, but through quiet paperwork. No dramatic showdown, no public meltdown, just an official update released through standard channels. And suddenly, the entire setup shifts. Take that title away, and the questions start coming fast. What happens to the speaking fees? What happens when she's introduced at events with no royal identifier attached? What happens when the headline loses its most powerful word? That's the kind of shift that changes everything overnight. Sure, some rooms might still be interested, but the real question is, are they as interested? One insider summed it up bluntly: without the title, there's no anchor. Public attention is slippery. Popularity fades. Trends move fast. New faces replace old ones every single cycle. But monarchy isn't a trend. It's permanent. It carries centuries of institutional credibility that can't be copied or replaced. She could still do media projects and stay visible, no doubt, but there's a massive gap between celebrity and royalty. One is built on attention, the other is built on legitimacy. And here's the cold part. This shift wouldn't need drama or confrontation. No public clash, no emotional back and forth. Just an official update, and the entire landscape changes overnight. The entertainment industry doesn't run on feelings. It runs on value calculations. They don't pay for personality alone. They pay for exclusivity, for a unique angle, for something others can't replicate. Remove royal legitimacy, and that math changes fast. So where does William get the confidence to push something this bold and this clean? Simple. He's been watching how other monarchies handle it. One example stood out immediately: Denmark. The Danish monarch made a decisive move that sent shockwaves through royal circles across Europe. Several close family members had their royal titles removed in one clear decision. No chaos, no spectacle, just clarity. The reasoning was blunt and practical. Too many titles blurred the line between who truly represented the crown and who didn't. So the system was simplified. The message became unmistakable, and the structure tightened up fast. William followed that situation closely. He tracked the headlines. He watched public reaction. And he studied how the aftermath was handled behind the scenes. It wasn't instantly popular. There was resistance. There was discomfort. But over time, something important happened. The monarchy came out sharper, more focused, and easier to understand. People knew exactly who the working royals were. They knew what they represented. The institution didn't weaken. It actually gained strength. William took notes. The lesson couldn't have been clearer. Move quietly. Move decisively. Don't chase approval. No apologies. No dragging it out. Make the call. Announce it. And keep moving forward. That's the blueprint. And it proves how fast a monarchy can adapt once boundaries are finally enforced. Life moved on. The family adjusted. And the biggest takeaway became impossible to ignore. Monarchies survive by changing before a crisis forces their hand. William took that lesson seriously. He's been quietly reaching out to experts across Europe, asking the same sharp question over and over again. How do we stay relevant without losing what makes us untouchable? And the answer keeps coming back the same: boundaries. The monarchies that thrive are the ones with clear lines. Everyone knows who's in, who's out, and what the rules are. No grey zones, no confusion, no blurred privilege. With structured responsibility, Denmark proved it could be done, and it worked. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Meghan's team started noticing the shift. Whispers started spreading fast. Phrases like title reform and restructuring began popping up more and more. At first, it sounded like background noise, typical palace chatter that people usually ignore. Then the details sharpened. Phones started buzzing non-stop. Emergency meetings suddenly appeared on calendars, and everyone was asking the same question. What now? Her team isn't careless. They understand exactly how much her public positioning depends on that royal connection, so they went into problem-solving mode, running scenarios, searching for angles, trying to protect what they'd built. Then someone floated a bold idea. What if the title itself became a brand? What if Duchess of Sussex was trademarked and turned into a business identity? On paper, it sounded smart. A brand can be protected, defended, controlled, but the palace saw it coming from a mile away. Before any paperwork could even gain momentum, palace advisors had already moved. The commercial use of royal titles was quietly sealed off. That door slammed shut fast. One person close to the situation summed it up perfectly. It was like showing up with checkers to a chess match. While Meghan's team focused on brand defense, William's people had already mapped every possible move, every angle, every workaround, every exit. And the message couldn't have been clearer. The Crown grants titles, and the Crown controls how those titles are used. You don't get to reshape royal status into something private or commercial. That's not how this system operates, and that's when reality hit hard. This wasn't Charles leading with diplomacy or emotional outreach. This was a different playbook entirely, a different generation calling the shots. William wasn't negotiating. He was drawing firm lines, and those lines came with zero loopholes. So how did the palace stay so far ahead of every move? Preparation. Serious, methodical, relentless preparation. William's team didn't just toss around ideas. They brought in specialists, historians who know every precedent, strategists who understand protocol down to the fine print. They mapped every scenario, every possible response, every angle someone might try to push. Nothing was left to chance. And here's the smartest part of it all. They didn't invent new rules. They used what already existed. Centuries of protocol already had the tools built in. All they had to do was activate them. The monarchy has faced pressure for 1,000 years. People have tested its limits again and again. And every time, the system adapted, tightened up, and protected itself. William's team didn't create something new. They dusted off safeguards that were already there. They identified which old-school protocols still applied to modern situations and brought them back into play. It was like finding a rule that had been sitting in the book forever, ignored, overlooked, but still fully valid. And once it was back in use, everything snapped into place. Once these moves were enforced, everything snapped into place. Support didn't come with fanfare or noise. It came quietly, deliberately, and right on schedule. Every step was framed as modernization, streamlining, and clarity for a modern era. And honestly, who's really going to argue with clarity? Who's lining up to fight modernization? That framing was smooth. It made every move look forward-thinking, not personal. Evolution, not punishment. Because it was all rooted in tradition. That's the part that made it airtight. There was no real angle to attack it. You can't challenge the monarchy for using its own systems. You can't cry unfair when the same rules have existed for generations. That's how institutions protect themselves. They don't panic. They don't overreact. They don't get dragged into public chaos. They activate systems built centuries ago for moments exactly like this. And after all the interviews, all the headlines, all the noise, this is where everything settled. There's a different energy coming out of Buckingham Palace now. Calm, controlled, focused. It feels like direction has finally replaced reaction after years of responding to pressure. There's confidence again. Even critics are quietly admitting it was smart. Love it or hate it, this was strategy at its cleanest. William isn't waiting around anymore. He's already leading. He's not sitting back until his moment officially arrives. He's reshaping the future right now. Quietly, carefully. His entire approach comes down to one thing: dignity over drama. No public sparring. No reacting to accusations. Just steady, strategic moves that let the system speak for itself. The monarchy didn't just get through this, it got refreshed. It looks sharper, more intentional, and more focused than it has in years. Confidence replaced defensiveness, and that shift is impossible to miss. Meanwhile, Meghan's story continues, but on new terms. The royal connection that once anchored everything is changing shape. The ground beneath it is no longer the same. And that leaves one heavy question hanging in the air. Without institutional backing, who is she in those rooms? What's the pitch when the royal mystique isn't part of the package anymore? The crown didn't need to tear anyone down. There were no confrontations, no public payback, no dramatic clashes. It simply evolved, it adapted. It used the same systems that have kept it standing for 1,000 years and applied them to a modern challenge. while everyone else stayed locked on the noise. William and his team were playing the long game. They weren't chasing headlines. They were building structure. And that's the real lesson here. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room to hold the most power. You just have to understand the system better than anyone else. The crown didn't rush. It didn't react. It waited. And now the plan is in motion. If you watched this and have thoughts, drop them in the comments below. If this breakdown made you see things differently, hit subscribe and stay locked in for more deep dives like this. Don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who needs to see it. And I'll see you in the next video.